I like this for the potential like DJ booth. It's kind of like a dead mouse type of feel. Um, you can add some video panels along here and some tracers, and then actually let's build this out. This would be like a raised DJ platform, and then our DJ would be right back there. Let's hop into Cinema 4D. Like my earlier lessons, building a perspective is key. As far as scale, this doesn't really apply in this stage, but when you start really fine-tuning your stage, especially when you want like vendors, you need actual correct to scale environments. But for this instance, we're just gonna kind of eyeball it. So usually when you want to create a perspective, you want to kind of have your camera always blocked off. So I'm just zeroing it out. And I want a kind of wide lens. What this does is it kind of makes things a little like warped and distorted, and I prefer that rather than super zoom. And both are fine, but for this instance I want to do a super wide one because I want that kind of lower angle up. Let's drop that down to, let's do 11. And I like to block off just really basic elements. So like, I'll go into a dual view. Otherwise, trying to move this, it will be a nightmare when it comes to just doing it in one view. And what I like to do as well is I like to protect the movement of that camera, so you can't do anything, you can't move it, which is perfect. Actually, we're building it in the wrong. Let's actually drop this guy down a little more. Gonna aim him up. Because you do want the ground in it, but the ground is not your main focus. So this guy would be, well, that's a very, very, you might have to widen this a bit. So that's why always building out your perspective, building that first camera out is very, very important, because you can build, but when you throw a camera in there and it's not the correct mood or style that you want, or perspective, it can throw off your whole entire design, and that's a nightmare. So let's go back to this guy. So I like to look at things in like parts, and if you try and get this shape right off the bat, you're gonna fail pretty hard. You want to look at this piece being like, okay, this is a face facing you. That'll be this one. And then you want to extrude out. So you want this face extruded, and you want it placed back as well. So the screens will be an angle. So we'll just group this guy. DJ booth, or we'll just do front stage, and then within there, DJ booth. All right, let's make it editable. And then you want to hit D, extrude. So I think that should be okay. Let's get those angles going. Let's get it a little wider, actually. So this is good at this level, but we want to build this up. And you can just take the two edges and pull it up this way, but we want to add a secondary video wall as well. So we want to bring down the vertices. Let's actually bump this guy up. There's a lot of just messing around with basic shapes in the beginning parts of your stage design. That's the fun part. I mean, it's all fun. Let's scale out. I kind of want a little more of an angle. Actually, I think that should be fine for now. Again, starting with very basic shapes is always the answer. So let's have kind of a DJ booth in the placed a little further back. Actually, let's bring it up a little bit more, because maybe this can be also another secondary screen. So looking at this, I kind of want to have most of this actually a live area. You can turn off certain parts, obviously. And again, I like to work with topology on. So you just go display, and the shading you do lines. Otherwise, you can get pretty lost. I also like turning on SSAO, which is ambient occlusion. Kind of adds kind of like a self shadow. So like when an object hits another object, it creates this kind of fall off, and it just makes it a lot more fun to play with. Okay, let's do DJ booth. Let's add a little bit more depth, and then let's add that amazing CDJ. And for a lot of these instances, I don't really model a whole lot of detail, because in all retrospect, the camera's gonna be right here. You won't see any knobs or anything, and we can actually throw out Guy up there too before we enter render in After Effects land. So I'm digging that. Let's start building the back wall. And it's always very nice to always have references. If you only have a certain supply of LED screens, that's another thing as well in the United States. The supply of LEDs is very minimal for smaller festival companies. There's not an endless supply. So when like EDC goes on, you'll get barely anything. You'll probably get this. So you need to also take that into account. Obviously, Ultra, they are another huge festival that basically depletes the whole entire United States of LEDs. This was one of my favorite stages by Ultra. I liked just the depth coming out. It really created a focus in the center. And I do kind of want to rip this off. This kind of like fingers, like claws coming out from the center. And I think that'll pair nicely with this. So let's see. Got your fingers. So when you start doing the screen work, since you'll be making a lot of screens, you kind of want to prep your screens for the final output. And what I like to do is I like to create material IDs. You can do material IDs or object IDs, and what they do is it takes either a material used and it creates a matte. And what a matte is, it's a white and black image, and you can take that into your Photoshop or After Effects, and you can do a Luma, like a Luma matte, where anything white is visible and then everything black is not. So when we start throwing actual visuals on this stage, having these as white and the rest black is going to be very, very, very it'll cut down on a lot of time rather than like masking. And especially if you want to create like animations in your environment, that won't be, you'll have to redo the whole entire freaking thing. So let's see. And since they're all the same size, what we can do is we can create one as an instance, and anything we apply to this applies to every other screen that has this this build. Okay, so we got the cube. We want to go up here, and then we want to go to instance. And then if you just hide this, you'll notice that it hides your instance. So you want to group it again, and then do working instances, and then hide that. And then let's just do like work in progress instances. So here you have an instance. And I'll show you what we can do with that. Since we have this already, let's make it editable. And what we do to this, it does to the instance. So I do want a recessed screen. So we do extrude inner, and then just a plain extrude, D, extrude in. And then I like to create just like matte black materials just for just basically anything that is all going to be the same, kind of shader or material. So for instance, all this silver work, or silver galvanized, whatever that material is, it's all the same. And we'll later see that it really doesn't affect the overall stage. So on the cube, just apply the matte black, and then we want to create an incandescent. Incandescent's just the glow. We'll just call it the RS for Redshift, standard glow. And we'll want to end up changing the glows, so I like to just keep it white for now. So let's get rid of that. So these are all linked. Let's adjust the pivot. Oh, you can't do that to instances. We can do it to groups. Panel 01. And I'm creating a pivot on this side because when I duplicate this guy, I want to be able to rotate the next guy along here. I'll show you what I mean. Oh, well, I'll be on this side actually. So it pivots that way. And we'll be working in symmetry, so even though I kind of messed up on this side, it doesn't matter because we're going to end up mirroring this side to this side, and I'll show you how a little bit later. So we got that panel. Let's do another one. So I kind of want it a little more extreme. Okay. We'll call this finger 01. And before I get into it, this is what I'm talking about material ID. So when you create a material or a shader network, you get basically your bread and butter here. This is either like a standard material, a subsurface, or an incandescence. In this case, it's an incandescence. So on this, we control the color, the intensity, and on the other ones, diffuse, reflection. What we want to do is connected to the out color is our surface. So without this guy, the material won't be placed on anything. So in here, material ID, we'll do screens as 1. It's going to take some time again. And in render settings, go to Redshift. Sometimes I do this before I even start working, and then sometimes I do this basically when I'm ready to export. It doesn't really matter. As long as you arrive at it. So for now, just preview size 960 by 540. It's a 16:9 ratio. It's like standard film, TV, all the settings. I'll turn on a little bit of GI, which is global illumination. It's the way that the light bounces off of objects and the way that light is dispersed around the scene. It takes a lot of processing power, but it makes your image that much better. So since I created the material ID, I go into the AOVs, show AOV, and then I do a lot of puzzle mats. Puzzle mats is either material or object ID, and this is what I was saying of what you want as the screen being white, and then anything outside is black. So since the screen was material ID 1, we'll call this screen mat. And this list will build over time. Like I want one as screens, I want one as tracers, I want one as maybe the ground, so I can flip the visuals and then use a blend mode to add reflection. It's a cheap option, but it gets the job done. So finger 1, let's do cloner. And by default, when you do a cloner, it goes to the origin of access, or the 0, 0, which is fine. All right, let's create, again, you don't want a bunch of screens looking like this. I mean, it look cool. You can do a lot of like, kind of audio level stuff, but you want to be able to see through it and see like darkness. Let's add these center fingers. And let's do symmetry. Let's really focus on this for the time being. So I kind of want to mirror this. Let's have it, like I like this kind of diamond shape. So let's see. Ooh, yeah, so I want actually another layer. Actually, that's too many. Let's do 5. Space them. Actually, they're 2 spaced apart. Let's bring this guy back. And this will just act as the wall. This will also determine how much depth you want back there. Maybe we want like a hall back there. Ooh, yeah. Let's do that. So what I really like to use too is booleans. And what booleans do is it takes object A and object B, and you can say, let's subtract this object A from object B. So you can create a lot of cool, really fast models. And it's good to group them. So let's do stage all backing. Let's call this Boolean because that's going to be the one that subtracts from there. And I like to group that because I like to add multiple shapes into that Boolean. Bool. And let's do. Okay. I do want this at an angle to match this. But let's actually have it raised up. Actually, let's put it back a little bit. I don't like creating that other wall. So you have the DJ right here, and then you have this wall. It kind of breaks up the depth. I think having nothing behind him and then this will add a lot more. It'll just be a lot more visually pleasing. So I want this to basically hit up here. And then let's collapse that guy. Let's bring in that more angular. Oh yeah, this is gonna look cool. Booleans, when I first started using them, they were very confusing. This is almost like an Armin van Buuren stage. All right, I really like how this is lining up right here. And maybe we want to position the fingers going inside. Maybe that's too much. I think I just want them to kind of usher you in there. I don't think bringing them in. Ooh, that might look cool. But there's nowhere to go up there. It's kind of leading a path, and it's just going nowhere. I like line work. I like a lot of things that guide your eye everywhere. So let's add some verticality to this. Okay, I like that shape a lot. And what I can do from there is I want to create like I really don't know, like a tiered backing, so you can get a lot of like pulsing. So like maybe the lighting could pulse from back here, go out, and then continue through here. So and then, sorry for the sound effects. Can go out here, and then can pass to the next LED screen. So since we have this shape, which was the Boolean, we can create a edge from that exact object. Let's see if I remember this. Yeah, edge to spline. There you have a spline. So I like to use a sweep with the spline. This is starting to get really messy. So let's do. Oh, let's just keep this as the stage level 1 symmetry. So this will just be the well, the level 1. There'll be a level 2 and then maybe a level 3 somewhere. So stage backing. Let's stick with the DJ booth as 1. Front stage, and then stage backing. Let's see what's all in the booth. Okay, yeah, let's keep that as its own, and then keep that back as its own. And I like to work just back, front, kind of like a background to foreground. It's just a lot cleaner and you'll understand it more. So let's do stage backing. Let's do tiered look. I am going kind of slow, so we might have to cut a couple corners just to get this into After Effects. So what this did is it's sweep. It takes this spline, and then the object above it is its thickness, is its shape that extrudes along the path. So in this case, it's a rectangle. We can scale it. Actually, no, that's going to be too long. Oh no, let's throw into a cloner actually. So with this sweep, we want to create another for the actual light. So here's that matte black. Let's save that. So we have the other sweep. We want to make it poke through here. And this is where controlling the spline or the shape that extrudes along the path. Okay, so that's nice. And we'll do that as the standard glow. And we could have instanced that as well, but I think in this in this instance it's fine. So cloner, let's get this bigger. We want to do along Z. So it might be too much. And I don't know if I want one out here. Yeah. Yeah, I think it would look weird if it was just recessed like that. Whoa, does that fit oh, it almost fit perfectly. Okay. Okay, that's looking cool. And then yeah, maybe we do want just a basic LED wall in the back there. and doesn't have to be precise at all. Just needs to cover it. And that will do the map black. And then editable, select the face. We want to, we'll just call this screens. Oh no, this one was screens. Originally I wanted to do that as the tracers, but I think it's already been applied to the screen, so let's just stick to that. Let's put him stage backing, background, video wall. So that can play visuals, and then I don't think we need visuals in here. I think having that negative space will definitely benefit. I'm going to go back into the DJ booth because I want to add a bevel to this shape. Just to introduce a new face. Okay, cool. We might want to bevel that guy, otherwise the geometry might look a little janky. Then let's add a little bit of subdivisions. Sweet. And then let's see. Let's start adding the screens. We probably want to make a recess or extrude inside of it so it has, you know, the matte black kind of framing it. Ooh, do we want that recess too? Let's do that. Yeah, that's gonna look sick. Let's add a screen to that guy. Let's go back to materials. Let's look at our white. So wherever our white is, that's where the screens are going to be. Actually, I think for these guys, tiered piece, I think I'm gonna want to start doing the tracers. Man, it does not like the hypershade right now. Or it's not even called hypershade. That's Maya. Shader graph I meant. Let's see. Let's do this 2. Let's go to AOV. Let's do screen matte. Let's add this. Tracer matte. Let's do 2. Let's save it. I'm going to try with the fingers one more time. Oops. Okay, let's do it. Ooh, there we go. Let's get it going like that. So force symmetry. There could only be one of these, that's why it's thrown it off. So center. I do think adding something up top would be beneficial. Yeah. That could look pretty freaking sweet. I don't like how it's breaking up here though. Let's do this. I do kind of like that shape that's making right here. That could be like our theme. Okay. Let's start getting this prepped. Here's this freaking thing again. Textures. Let's do streets. And I just want like just something a little pleasing. It's not that good of one. But we can add more later. Let's see if this blows up. Albedo, roughness, normal, height. This goes this way. Normal. Let's do the bump. Oh, it's actually letting me do stuff. Okay, let's bring in color correction. Just so we can play with the albedo or the color map. If it's too saturated, we can desaturate it. If it's too bright, we can bring it back down. Okay, it's actually cooperating. Yes. Roughness. Oh, heck yeah. It's actually doing stuff now. Displacement. Texture, text map. Let's go to displacement. Let's get a render going so we can edit this while looking at it. It's way too bright. Change to cubic. Actually, no, it has the lines. I don't like the lines. So let's get rid of the albedo. Let's just use the other maps. do like a render region so we don't have to look at the whole entire piece. And this basically just says, hey, whatever's in this window only render. This won't render. This will render. So I don't like the cubic. Let's go back to UV. Okay, starting to get somewhere. Let's increase the bump. Actually, I think that got rid of a lot of the... Oh no, we'll add that secondary. Oops, content frame all. Let's save it. Let's add a displacement or an object tag to our geo, and you can add the displacement to it. And then we want to get that kind of like the wet feel. So I want to add a coating. But you don't want it glossy. You want to bring in like a turbulent noise or like a something to break up the reflection. Color correct. Just like organizing this a little bit more. Let's do input. This is a coating roughness. So we'll have to invert it. So right now the only roughness are these little patches. So we can do a color invert. It's probably a little too... We want to kind of beef it up a little bit more. I'm not getting a good read. So I like to just offset it. If you like an area of it, you can just play with the offset or scale. Actually, oh no, not that way. Other way. All right, that's gonna be pretty cool. Let's put it close to the camera. Now let's get this reflection roughness. Let's bring it back a little bit. Because if there are puddles, the other parts need to be a little wet as well. All right, that's pretty good. Let's find a better asphalt. Let's see. I'll just use this. And it's good to use seamless textures as well, so you can scale it or tile it across the surface. That's too bright. Let's see without the dome light. Yeah, let's just stick to area lights for now. Let's break this out. Let's start really playing with the lighting. Another fun thing I like to do is I like to create light groups. So when you render an image, you can render the way that the light interacts with the environment separately. And that's really nice if you want to create like just added secondary lighting animations. So I don't know if I like this guy exactly right there. I want to definitely make it apparent that this light is being reflected. Again, it's really harsh. Okay, I think that's good. Let's bring in a dude here. And most of the guys I do have. Let's see. I didn't want to bring in a semi-nude model because I think most of the models that I have that I start with are really base levels of human models. Yeah. Alright. Textures probably won't be connected, which is fine. Dude. So come to think of it, I might want... Yeah, I probably want video walls right here as well. Ooh, let's do alt screens now. Oops. Alt screen. This guy. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Let's make this material ID 3 and make sure it's hooked up to AOV. Let's call this alt screen met. That's 3. And then while we're in here, let's bring in just some basic render passes. Emission being anything the screens it'll render, and we'll basically do that with the alt screen, but I just like to do that just in case. And reflections, which will be how it's reflected down here. Let's do specular lighting. And let's add a depth. So with our camera, I like to create a depth pass, which you can take into a compositing program and then add depth of field based on the environment. So you want to do focus distance. Let's click on the dude. So that's about maybe like 4,000 focus distance. 4,000. Let's see, do we want anything else? No, I think we're good. And I am running a little behind, so let's do some basic lights. Maybe like lights right here. Let's point those down actually. Let's do -90. Let's add them to these guys up here. And again, you want to orient them correctly. And there. Sweet. And let's do L. 1, and then let's name them the same, but change 4, 5, and then let's do the same over here. We want to change the orientation this way. Do our light 1. Duplicate too far. Sorry, I know this is getting a little lengthy, but I promise you we're arriving at it. Okay, let's hide these because we don't want them in the render. Let's go back to this guy. Let's take a peek. And you'll understand that we're basically only working with one shader, 2 matte black, and then the screens, and then assigning the material IDs. And I'll do a quick, no, that's fine. I'll do a quick render to show you each individual pass before we actually render and take it into After Effects. So that's alt screen, that's the DJ booth. That's depth. White is the closest, black is the furthest. And then emission. GI. Reflections. All the screen maps. Specularity. And then the tracers back here. I wish I had more time to do tracers, but I think this will do for now. Let's get this going. 1080. Let's do OpenEXR. OpenEXR is the basically the most common render pass with studios. It holds all these render passes in one singular image, which saves space, and it saves just your workflow. Let's see. Stage 01. Sorry, I'm doing this off screen. All right. Let's do current frame. We're just rendering one frame. That's the fun part of this as well, is that you can just do a lot of stuff with just one image. And since it's only one image, we can bump these up. We don't need something disgusting because we don't have a whole lot of texture information. All right, and then let's render. So let's do renders. Let's do effects because we want to bring in some visuals. Effects, visuals. We'll do assets. Let's do comps. And they'll actually want Cinema 4D. And that's the fun part too, is bringing in the Cinema 4D and extracting all the camera data and the lighting. Okay, got Cinema 4D. Now let's bring in the renders. QuickTime, stage, render. And then, like always, you can take your image, drag it to your comp. This is at 3rd resolution. So here's your EXR. That's just the standard render. You can do effect, 3-channel extractor. That extracts each individual pass from the EXR. So this is the alt screen. And labeling is going to be your best friend. Or, yeah, labeling, making sure everything is super, super clean. Because this does get kind of messy. Or it can get messy. I'm trying not to get messy. Reflection. So overall screen matte. And then I like to color code things as well. Specular. Let's do tracers. Oops, forgot matte. So let's organize this. Let's bring the mattes up. Let's save it. I like to do the mattes as yellow. Let's shut them off for now. And then depth, that's a fun pass, so I usually do like a fuchsia. And from here, anything that has light in your render, you want to do a screen, because you want to keep adding the luminosity of your pass to your overall image. So you can do either or. You can do add lighten, but it's common practice to do screen. Emission, we'll put that as blue. Might not even use that one. So let's actually use the original pass. Let's add a curves just to bump it down a little bit. And before I get into it, let's look at the timeline. That's 10 seconds. I think 10 seconds is good enough for a nice little play. Okay, then with each pass you can add things like exposure to kind of crank it up. In this case, kind of want to dumb it down a little bit. Reflection. I do like how it's picking up these. And then let's bring in Cinema 4D. Let's do extract. And here it includes all the lights and all in the same orientation. You'll see the red. It's slightly off and it's going to be fine. But I'll show you the really fun part now. So you have the lights. Create adjustment layer. This is going to be trap code lux. Trap code lux. And it takes those lights and it creates a creates lights. For now, since we have the lights, let's start animating them. So I want to maybe like start low and then come at you. And maybe that's like a 100 frame. And then they diminish. So let's just go to third just so the previews build faster. Sorry, I usually don't use the Lord's name in vain. So let's do, first let's do the intensity. Let's go 0. And then as it goes out here, let's taper it off. And then let's apply this across the board. And hopefully it doesn't crash again. Maybe I'll just single them out. Actually, tell you what. There you go. Freaking sick. So maybe that's the start of it. Just, and then we can have the tracers come out and it just kind of feeds out. And then after that, let's go 125. Let's get these back to their original states. And then maybe these two, we'll do the same movement, but we'll do it in a lot quicker. Okay. And then we want the luminosity again. Oops. I want it to pick up again. So maybe there, 200, and then 0. So let's take this, let's apply it to these guys. Oops, did not apply it to this guy. Boom, boom. But this time I want these two to come first. So I probably should have named it right stage 1, left stage 1, and so forth. So this could get a little complicated. So I want these first, and then these. Maybe like a few frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, let's go even more. 10. 10. Let's go with these guys. And then, just so we're not going nuts, go 3. Oh, I am going nuts. Yeah, this is where naming could have been better suited for this. Okay, so now we're at these ones. We're gonna go 10. This guy 10. And probably would have been better reversed, but we'll do this for now. Oh, duh. You need the camera in there too. That's a dumb move. Because the lights are in 3D space, so you need a camera in there. So there's the light. And it would have been cool to add even more. Maybe we could add to this at later times. Or at a later date. And then for now, let's darken all the screens. So taking these mats, pre-comping them, and just say all screen dark. And screen. And then add just like a, not quite black, but maybe like a almost black. And then do a Luma mat. Let's tidy this up a little bit. Comp. I do pre-comps for my like side comps. And then either you can have your final one out here, or you can do main comp. It's whatever you prefer. There's the light. Let's work on the tracers. So let's pre-comp this. Back, center, tracers. Let's do move all objects in there. And then, since we were only dealing with like 5, I'm pretty sure I could have got away with adding puzzle mats for each one, but in this case, let's just do a quick garbage mat. So there's 5. All right, that's 1. Oop, let's not clip the other ones. That's 2. Ooh, I am getting some mad eye spasms looking at this right now. And I do have my glasses on. Okay. And then the last one. Super awesome pen work. So, since we singled it out, now we can go and then back and forth. So, for this instance, I want to do the furthest first and then come at the screen. So I'll do like a slow one first as the lights go up. So let's see, the lights go up there, goes to 100. You can create a little like note with the asterisk. So let's do like intro light. And then do 125. Offset light. So I can ramp up. Let's go back to tracers. Let's work on. Oh, we probably should have carried these over. Well, it's just 100, 125. You want to animate them all at the same time, just to get the same animation, and then you can stagger them. So, and then maybe they like go out after that. And then I want to add a more kind of a quicker out to this side. So you want to go graph editor, and this is where you control the speed. So I want it to arrive at this quicker. What you can do is you can select this keyframe. Oops. So it's more of a pulse, and then it kind of eases into the nothingness. So at the first one, let's do the 10 frame again. And then from there, you don't really need to count. You just go by this one, since it's all 5s. And then let's gear up for this one. Let's do a quicker one. I'm wondering how we can loop this. Let's just use the same keyframes for now. Let's do 2 now. 2, 2, 2, 2. And then let's do it again. Two. It's a nice pulse. And let's do it again. All right, let's look at that. I actually like the second half better. Yeah, a little different now. So same as what we did with the, oops, the screen dark, can actually add this to it as well. Get rid of these keyframes. There you go. Although, what is that? Oh, there you go. So it goes out here. I'd like the screens to come out too. Actually, I'd like maybe the lighting we can make it a little faster. First, let's make these tracers faster as well. Let's tracers double speed. Let's do 150 time remap. So I feel like this intro light could be a little shorter or a little quicker. So let's double that up. Let's cut it right after the first one, because they are cool, but it's just not enough intensity for me. Time remap. That keyframe there. Let's save first. Let's do 50. Let's do another 50. Let's do another 50. And then let's bring it home. Alright, so they end there. Let's actually get this quicker as well. So maybe doubling it up and then doing every 25. Let's see how that looks. It's getting little nutsos. All right, let's work on this tracers. Let's actually cut that down. If I had a music track, I would edit to that as well, and maybe we can do that at a later time too. All right, that's way too offbeat. I feel like the lighting is doing a good job. Let's do the same thing with the tracers. Let's do 50. 50. Let's see. I think that'd be pretty cool. All right, let's throw that down here. Let's see. Yeah, it'll look good like that. This is just a flat visual being ran by the screen mat, by this one. When you really get into it, you can start adding perspective. Actually, let's do that. Let's add this guy. It's kind of match the horizon. For these visuals, it doesn't really matter if it's mapped super well, since it's just basically a lot of just flashies. I mean, that's pretty much the core of a lot of visuals, I guess. But you get the cool ones who actually hone in on their look, and they, you know, you go to their show to witness their next, you know, marriage of music and visuals. 7 Lines being one of them. So that's not bad. I do want to have this. It's not really matching up, actually. Let's get it a little more. Let's get this back screen another visual. And the way we can do that is we can just single him out. And then throw a black solid behind, and then we're going to use that as the next screen matte. So center matte. Let's just do an alt of this. That's pretty sick. And then this alt screen, we can add like a strobe, just like a strobe light. Let's make it kind of match the brightness or the color of this other stuff. It's kind of like a yellow. Let's see, if it's 30, let's just do 15, and then 30, and then we can do a loop out cycle. That just loops it. Let's add a screen. Alright, looking pretty cool. It's missing visuals up here, so I think I'd want to actually just probably mask those and then have some other visual up there. Since we're not doing screen, we can just actually, let's do another one of these and do the same thing we did for that center one. Just single it out. Let's make sure my OBS is still running. Yeah, it is. Sweet. Okay. All right, I'm almost done for today. Maybe we can pick up tomorrow. Screen. Let's do top screen matte. And then let's bring this guy up here. Position it up. Now let's get a perspective going. Yeah. Sick. So maybe in the other days we can single out some of these and then have different visuals play in all these, and then maybe have the tracers come out the center. But let's finish this up for today. Okay, and then let's use the other depth map for actual depth. I'm going to use Frischluft, or out of focus. Depth field, let's point it to our depth map. Effects and masks, since we did we used the extractor. Yeah, just have to point to your character or like your area that you want in focus. So you can get a lot of cool like once you start like animating the camera could be like pointing down at the asphalt, and it could be like going up, and with that you can start racking focus to your main guy. But in this case it's a little much. And then one of the last things that I do to help amplify it, it's not the lighting, let's do tracers. Let's pre-comp them for glow. Let's screen. Let's add a deep glow. And then for our pale screen, or alt screen, let's do the same. Or is it? Oh, it's 15. Sick. You can start really getting into a lot of different colors. And another thing you can do as well, you can do this in After Effects, and you can also do this in Unreal Engine, and you can have a capture card pointing to Resolume, and you can have Resolume spliced for each individual section of a stage. So you can be like streaming, and you can have a VJ running Resolume and have a guy on this stage, and you can actually animate the camera or have someone with the Xbox controller walking around the stage and have your DJ on a green screen on a flat plane and have it oriented to wherever the camera is. So it'll appear that, you know, he's actually there DJing at a freaking stage. I'm not really feeling the depth of field right now. I do want to crunch this a bit, or grade it. Cut correction, curves. And then let's sharpen. Not that much. And then let's bring in some, just kind of darkening up the areas that you prefer not to really showcase. AKA a vignette. It's kind of a cheap trick, but it helps pop everything. Do a soft light. There we go. Let's maybe Let's maybe add another level of deep glow. Since we doubled up the screens, let's pre-comp it again. This is why I like node-based compositing. You don't have to keep layering stuff. So let's do screens for reflection. And then let's get this to a good level. And this doesn't have to be exactly right because it's going to be pretty blurred. But it helps occupy that space down here. And like I said before, you know, that's not our primary focus, the ground, but it's really nice to have a cool ground. Let's make it pretty inviting. Let's do a lighten. So we can have the puddles come through a little bit more better. And let's have a ramp affect it. Generate gradient ramp. Let's do a radial. Let's go down. Let's do a swap. And this should be good. All right. Fit. Ooh, I know it's kind of hokey, but let's add that handheld. I think tomorrow I'm going to add like fog and maybe like CO2 cannons. Let's get freaking out there. Wiggle for 4. Like my previous tutorials, I like to visualize it as simply and as quickly as possible. I think that's fine. Delete that. Let's watch. That is kind of bugging me. I do want to change this and maybe do like a chroma, do like a center out. Yeah, that'd be really sick. Actually, I might want to blur the reflection. That's way too clean. Let's just do a Gaussian. Oops. Wrong one. There we go. Now let's preview. I'd like to keep embellishing this and then really push it to its absolute highest point.